Are high-interest credit cards or personal loans weighing you down? Unlock gives homeowners a smarter option. With a home equity agreement, you can tap into your home's equity for cash today. There are no monthly payments. Here's how it works. Unlock provides funds upfront and in exchange shares in a portion of your home's future value. That means you keep control with the flexibility to use your equity your way. Pay off bills, invest in home improvements, or set aside savings for peace of mind. For thousands of homeowners, Unlock has been the key to moving forward without the pressure of another payment. Put your equity to work for you. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.
This is Ray County Voices. 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 Well, welcome back to Ray County Voices. If you are a regular listener, welcome to Ray County Voices. If you are a first-time listener, as the title indicates, this is a catching up episode. We are catching up with Cathy Gottsch, who is the director of the Ray County Museum. And one thing which I can catch Cathy up on is, the last time she was here, which was in October, late September of 2024, we were discussing Halloween stuff. And at that time, Buzzsprout hosted our content. We have since moved from Buzzsprout to Odyssey Creator Lab. And because of that, we have commercial breaks, or we put in mid-roll commercial ads. So periodically we will pause to make time for our sponsors, and I will say that, and that we'll be right back in this and that, just laying out the ground rules and everything. So Cathy, welcome back.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoying this already.
Yes,
I love talking to you guys.
Yes, enjoying this already. I'm kind of flying solo. I might have a mystery co-host before this episode's over.
Who will it be?
Yeah. It's kind of appropriate that we're doing that because it's only a week after Halloween.
Only a week. You haven't come down from the Halloween high yet.
Yes.
It's still all the candy.
Yeah. Although I am noticing as I drive around Ray County and even part of Clay County, people are starting to come down from the Halloween high because the decorations are coming down.
Are they coming down finally? Oh, we've had some good ones this year, too.
Yes, we did. What were some of your favorite ones?
Holy moly. Well, over in the neighborhood where the museum was it on Lexington or was it on the street just to the south of Lexington? What is that called?
Royal Street, or not Royal Street?
But between the two, that street, I'm not sure. There were two houses there, though. Holy moly, down by West Street.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, God.
Jabez?
It could be Jabez, yes. And I tell you what an amazing setup those two houses had. They had so much amazing stuff out. Backyard to front yard, they had animatron things and big old dragons. And
yeah.
There's some good ones around town.
Yeah.
There's several good ones around town. Those two come to mind because they were close by.
Yeah. Well, the one that I think of actually was on Royal Street, about a block east of the museum, where they had like about a 20-foot skeleton.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. And there was one that's also in the west end of Richmond, Missouri. I guess I should mention that yes, we're talking here in the podcast studio at the Richmond News and its sister newspaper, the Excelsior Springs Standard in Richmond, Missouri. But on the west side of town, where the Ray County Museum is in Richmond, Missouri, and where I live in Richmond, Missouri, on my block, there was a family that got into Halloween spirit, had a big inflatable pumpkin and a bunch of other stuff.
Fun stuff. There were several houses around town that were just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
So, and And we'll use that as a segue to catch up with some of the Halloween spooky, eerie stuff. Woo! Yes. that the museum has done this late summer, perhaps early fall. When was the paranormal conference?
That was in September.
But was it the latter part of September?
I have to think for just a second because my brain moves quick. Just the 19th and the 20th.
Okay, so that was fall-ish.
It was fall-ish.
Yes.
We were heading into October, and that was an amazing success.
Yeah.
It really was.
And in what ways was it an amazing success?
Well, we had a lot of turnout.
Uh-huh.
We had good vendors that came. We had the ghost hunt that they had planned for that Saturday night. It was the 20th, I believe, was sold out. And then they had actually a surprise auction for us. This was all a benefit for the Ray County Historical Society and the museum. And they had a surprise auction for us, and they gathered up about $2,500 worth of stuff for us and sold it. Unbelievable.
Nice.
And that was such a surprise. I had to cry. I really did. So
had to cry.
I did. When they surprised me with it, I was just awestruck.
All right.
So that was really good, though, and a lot of fun.
And now we are joined by part-time co-host
Micah Dillman.
So welcome back, Micah.
How's it going?
Or Micah Fur, as we sometimes call him. We were just talking. We were just talking about the paranormal.
It was a conference.
A paranormal
conference. They call
them
Paracon.
That you had at the museum?
That we had out there. Actually, it was at the Eagleton
okay.
as a benefit for the museum.
Gotcha.
And then we had a ghost hunt on that Sunday night. And so there were little things going on kind of all day long. They had speakers all day. And if you are a fan of paranormal TV shows or podcasts, or YouTube videos and things, boy, there were some big names. There were big names there. And they were happy to donate their time, come out on their own dime and do this for us. And that to me was just awesome. It was just awesome. They've been planning it for a year. It came off beautifully. So.
And when you say there was a good turnout, roughly how many folks are we talking about?
Oh, there was about 100 and some folks that came through listening to different people and whatnot. And we had about 20 different vendors that were out there, paranormal in particular. And then, like I said, the auction, we had some ghost tours during the day at the museum. And it was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. And it was geared more towards anybody local too. So it was an affordable thing for people to come to. And, we had a good time.
As in how much? What's affordable?
It was $35, I think, to get in for all day long, and you could have a ghost tour for $10 and talk about all the spooky stuff and use some of the equipment and see it. And everything lasts about an hour. So it was a lot of fun. People had a good time.
Does the museum have to do much planning as far as this goes, or is that all done by outside folks?
That's all done by the group that was putting it on. So the sponsor group was a podcast group, and they're called Blondes and Booze. Doesn't hurt that they're my friends. Just let me say that. Straight up, I've known these people for a long time, and they have a wonderful podcast on YouTube. And they talk about all kinds of things. So they had everybody on there. The people that were there were ghost people and UFO people and cryptid, which if you don't know what cryptid is, it's Dogman and Bigfoot and things like that. And then metaphysical things. They did have people who were doing channel readings and things like that. So it's all sort of encompassing all of the aspects of paranormal, and people are interested in that. You'd be surprised.
From when we talked before, Micah, you're not a big Halloween person or a paranormal person, or?
I don't mind the paranormal stuff part of it. It's just Halloween, the holiday anymore. Any more holidays start 2 months in advance, so that's part of my issue. But
agree.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Don't be selling me Halloween stuff in August. I'm really not there yet.
Or Christmas before before Halloween. So
I'm with you.
Yes.
I actually don't mind, paranormal stuff. I watch some of the stuff here and there, hear some things.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. It's really interesting what they do that's very different from what you might see on TV. Those are TV shows. And they're meant for the scare and the wow and all of that factor, But these people are very interested in actually gathering evidence, as they call it, and try to debunk a lot of the stuff that they get. Is there a reasonable explanation for this? If so, they'll talk about it. So it's pretty different. And these people are just so nice, all of them. Everyone I've met has been so nice, I really come from a historical aspect of things, but who doesn't want to know about ghosts, especially when you live at the museum?
Absolutely. All righty. Well, we're going to take a short break to give some of our sponsors gracious airtime, and we'll be right back.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills.
Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Welcome back to Ray County Voices with your co-host, Micah Dillman.
And Shawn Roney, and our guest, Cathy Gottsch. Yes. I always want to pronounce it as Gottsch, and
you're not alone. You're not alone. It has too many consonants and only one vowel, so people get really messed up trying to figure out how to pronounce this German name.
That German name, yes. I can understand because I've got German going into museum, and obviously I'm sure you get a lot of genealogy stuff over there.
We do get a lot of genealogy. We do phone calls and personal visits.
Well, I've had a few family historians, and on my mom's side, may she rest in peace, they were able to trace some of her ancestry back to Germany, back to 18th century Germany before they came here. And then when the DNA swab tests started becoming all the rage, I decided to do it, and also kind of build a family tree through ancestry.com where it gives you potential ancestral matches. And it did confirm that, yes, on mom's side of the family, I have German ancestors and apparently a lot of Swiss ancestors too.
Same here.
Is Dillman German too, Micah?
I don't believe so. I believe it is. My dad's side of the family is all from Mexico.
Really?
So, and Dillman, I don't know if it's actually their last name or if that is an English translation from what it was.
Well, that's possible.
Because my grandfather, when he moved to the U.S. and started to get into the military, they suggested he change his name from Juan Carlos to John Charles. So that was, and I don't know if that was part of the last name being changed as well. I haven't done that for.
Well, that's happened in a lot of families. It happened in mine. I had a Carl Gustav who was Swiss, but he went by Charles after that. He didn't go by Carl. And Gustav, you can't change.
Well, now, I will say to your ancestry, Micah, there actually were a lot of Germans that ended up settling in Germany, too. I found that out from, of all people, because I was getting back into learning Spanish. I had a semester of it in 8th grade and a couple years in high school taught by Carla Voltmer, may she rest in peace. And I was going to try and learn or improve my Spanish by listening to Spanish language music. And the artists that I knew tended to be more mainstream artists, like Los Lobos, who, of course, are from East LA. I see Micah kind of shift. Hadn't heard of them.
You don't know. I know.
Yeah, Cathy knows. But anyway, Los Lobos is a quintet from East LA. Does a lot of I've done some mariachi stuff. They had an album called, I know I'm going to mangle this, La Pistola y El Corazon, or El Pista. It translates to the gun in the heart, and it's most of it is covers of traditional Mexican music. But then I also got Linda Ronstadt's Canciones de mi Padre, because she grew up in Arizona. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember, because it seems like she's got Latin roots on one side of her family.
It does, yeah.
But anyway, in the notes to Canciones de mi Padre, she talks about how that Germans ended up settling in Mexico, and that's why if say you listen to some of the Spanish language radio stations, especially around here where they play a lot of norteño and stuff like that, and you get the polka stuff, that's where that comes from. So it's possible that one of your grandparents actually settled in Mexico from Germany. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
People think of immigration as only U.S., and people coming from other places to the U.S., but people from Europe and all over immigrated everywhere.
Yes.
And that includes South America, South and Central America. I have ancestors. I have a cousin or a great uncle who actually, great uncle, he went to Argentina and settled. So that last name was Moore. And so there are Moors down in Argentina that are all related to us, but, they're, Argentinians. So,
yes.
I mean, you never know. That happened a lot. So
that's right. And which side of the family was that, Micah?
That was my father's side.
And what do you know about your mom's side?
I should know more because my grandfather has told me 1,000 times. I know there is some sort of Native American in it. Yeah.
Yes.
We have some sort of European, whether it's Swiss or German on that side, and then Native American. I believe it's Sioux or Cherokee. I don't want to assume and make that point, but it's one of those.
Yeah, kind of like Johnny Cash, may he rest in peace, did for years, where he, I think, had assumed, or I guess maybe somebody in his family had told him that he was Cherokee. And then his daughter Roseanne went on, I don't think it was Finding Your Roots with Henry Louis Gates. I think it's Who Do You Think You Are that Lisa Kudrow hosts. And they found out it wasn't true.
Right. I think I watched that episode.
Anyway, what I was saying related to the Ancestry.com tests and the potential matches for the family tree, and based on what my family's told me, is there is Irish there, but not as much as I think my dad led me to believe. There's a lot of Scot. I found that out. And I knew the English was there because I think I'm actually fourth generation Anglo-American on dad's side of the family, where it would be my great-great-grandfather came over here about middle of the 19th century from England. I think it was Essex County, England, which is in the south part of England. But it also the results indicated some Welsh. I mentioned the Swiss. A little bit of Belgium, where Dr. Evil is from,
Dr. Evil.
From the Austin Powers movies, And yes, Cathy is just putting her pinky finger up to her mouth like Dr. Evil used to do. And
I love that movie.
It's a lot of fun. And I think I mentioned Welsh, a little bit from the Netherlands and Germany. And what the DNA results tend to show is they also show traces of Scandinavia. And I'm guessing that's going back probably before the 1500s.
Maybe some Viking.
Yes. I think I got some Viking in there. So we kind of got off a tangent there, where we got to discussing family histories and everything. But where we had left off, we were discussing the paranormal conference or Paracon that you had, that you said was a great success. And Micah had said that he enjoys some paranormal stuff on television. What TV shows?
It's been a while, but I like to catch some if I'm scrolling through and see a documentary where it's, oh, we're going out into the woods and ghost hunting, or the Paranormal Activity movies, for a few of them were decent, then the next couple got, jumped the shark quite literally sometimes. I don't know.
Well, I have to admit, and my friends all laugh at me greatly over this, I don't watch any of it. I never have. But I'm going to be straight up. I don't watch TV. I mean, Netflix, any of it. I don't, at the museum, I don't have internet connection in there in the apartment, and I just don't bother. I don't watch movies, really. I read a lot of books.
Yeah. So
or I watch documentaries on my phone sometimes. Yeah, I can't even add to that at all.
but you don't read any paranormal fiction, any ghost stories? Oh,
I don't read a whole lot of. No, now, straight up, I did read Sleepy Hollow this last go.
Oh, yeah.
I think you have to have some classics.
Yes.
And then who doesn't love Edgar Allan Poe? I'm sorry.
You betcha.
Anyway, but yeah.
Well, we'll use that, the literature in the museum, talking about the haunted mansion that you had on Halloween.
The Haunted Museum. I love it. I think this is the 6th year, might be the 7th. I'm just trying to think back to how long it's been. I know in 2020 we didn't do it. I think this is the 6th year, because in 2020 we didn't do it. But we've been doing it every Halloween, except on one, we did it on a weekend. That didn't work so well. But on Halloween, too many other things going on, so we didn't have as many kids. I like to believe that we've become a Halloween tradition. And this last one, and it is a Friday night, and it was just perfect weather and everything else. This last one was really good. We had such a wonderful time. We have great volunteers that come and help. Kiwanis set up their hot dogs out there, and we're cooking hot dogs, and you can smell those going down the hill everywhere, and we had the Headless Horseman came. So we just had a wild time. It was so much fun. And we had 586 people came through.
Nice.
We've got someone with a clicker.
Cool.
And it was just a load of fun. And it was sponsored by Missouri Farm and Home. Thank you very much. They helped to sponsor us. But that's true, because honestly, we could not do that without a sponsor. I mean, I'm not going to even tell you how much money I spent on candy. A lot. We had this giant tub, and I think my friend went out and bought it. My friend Erin, she bought it at Sam's for me, and then at Walmart. And I'm pretty certain it was over 25 bags or something. Big bags of candy. Yeah, we had a lot of candy.
Yeah,
but you know what? If you come out, you're gonna have fun. They walk through the front and the top, and that's a little nicer and easier and not real scary for the littler kids or the more susceptible ones. And then they can go out the side exit, the chicken exit, or they can go down, and there is a chicken hanging there. And they can go down and go through the haunted part. And that's a little scarier. And it's so much fun. But nobody's grabbing or anything. But it is just a little scary.
Right.
And we've had a lot of participation. So,
So what kind of candy did you give?
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. No candy corn or
No, but I love candy corn. So I would have set that over by myself. But no candy
Almond
corn.
Joys or Mounds or
No, there's a few
coconut
of those in
things.
there, but not too many. Because not everybody likes the same thing, but we had good candy in there. We had good candy.
It's all that
Something for everybody in there. Oh, yeah. It was tasty and so much fun.
So, and for something like that, how was setup like? Did you have any help with that? Was it all you? How long did it take?
So my friends who are listening, I love you all. I just want you to know, because they are the ones that really did the setup. I helped to organize all of this. And then I have some setup say in there, but we had Keisha Johnson and her mom and her aunt. They helped to set a lot of this up. Heather George set a lot of it up. Erin Smith, she's just, I can't even begin to tell you. She does almost all of it downstairs. Chris Edwards. There was just a number of people that I know I'm leaving out, but we had a lot of people that came and helped. And every year we try to, change it and increase it and everything. And they do a wonderful job. Honestly, really, I'm not the principal person in that. I'm just the one that goes, are we doing it again this year? Yay! The cheerleader.
And then when it's done, everything looks great, guys. Good job.
Great. And then we take it down, So it takes a couple of days to set it all up. And then it takes us 2 days at a minimum to take it down and then to put it away, which I've already had some lovely little volunteers come out and help me haul that stuff upstairs. So,
So you're the cheerleader.
I'm the cheerleader, the de facto organizer, though my friends stop laughing. Just stop laughing. So, yeah. But, we just all know what we're going to do here, and we just start to get after it, because it's one of our favorite things to do.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to finally make that dream a reality? Maybe it's updating your kitchen, paying down high-interest credit cards, or covering tuition. Your home is more than where you live. It's also your most powerful asset. At Unlock, we make it simple to turn equity into options. With a home equity agreement, you can access cash today without taking on monthly payments. Imagine the freedom to invest in your home, reduce financial stress, or finally start that big project you've been putting off. It's your home. It's your future. Unlock it today. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.
Welcome back to Ray County Voices. I am Shawn Roney.
Here with Micah Dillman.
And Cathy Gottsch.
And we're just kind of catching up. The first two segments, we caught up with Cathy about the paranormal conference that the Ray County Museum in Richmond, Missouri hosted in September. And then the Haunted Mansion.
I love it.
That the museum hosted on Halloween of 2025. And now we are about to head into something that's coming up. It will probably have already passed by the time we make the episode public, but it's a veterans dinner. Is this the first time that you all have had
no.
Really?
We've been doing the veterans dinner. Emily did the veterans dinner before me, and I think it was a dinner sometimes, and before that it was picnic. And so this has been a longstanding tradition within Historical Society. I don't even know who it started with, but it has been gone on longer than myself and Linda. And it's something that's really near and dear to my heart. I have a family loaded with veterans, absolutely loaded with veterans and government service. And, we're all pretty much a public service family. And so for me, this is like an honor. I mean, it's just the biggest honor I can give every year to continue it. So,
and Micah, did you say, was it your grandfather that came from Mexico and joined the military?
Yeah. What a guy.
So he was in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of a funny story back to the name change, coincidentally. So him and his brother both came from Mexico. Their mom never came to America and never spoke any English, but they came with their dad. My grandpa joined the military and changed his name to John Charles, and his brother, my uncle, became a Border Patrol agent. So, interesting way of looking at things after making their way across.
Yeah.
But, my grandfather, he actually spent in total about 39 years in the Army.
Wow.
He was a career guy.
Yeah, he made 2 trips to Afghanistan, I believe.
Oh my.
And he was in Vietnam as well.
Wow.
And my grandma's father was in Korea. And I don't know, I never got to talk to him much. He didn't really open up. I don't know what branch he was in. I don't know anything. He didn't really leave that out there too much. I know a little bit about my grandpa's stuff because my other grandparents, when he was coming back the second time from Afghanistan, got the news involved when he was coming in. We showed up at the airport, did a big homecoming for him and everything. And so that was real fun. He really doesn't talk much about it, as it seems that most of those guys that are in it for that long do. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing to hear what little I can get from him at this point.
That's awesome. And he may open up more as time goes on. You never know. It's an interest level. I know my uncle was a colonel in the Army, and he joined in 1943. It was in World War II. And he went into officer school after that, and he wasn't actually a fighting soldier in Korea or Vietnam, but he was a commander at bases. He went into procurement and helped to, procurement is just, buying things, making sure that all the supplies to run the Army were around for these different bases and stuff. And he, when he retired, he, of course, didn't retire and sit down. He just kept going. And when he reached towards the end of his life, he started to talk to me about it. And I said, well, why haven't you been talking to me all this time? And I've been asking questions. He goes, well, I didn't think anybody's interested. Yes, we're all very interested. And so we did get stories out of him there towards the end, and sometimes people just can't talk about it. My grandfather was in World War I, and he could not talk about it. Just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it.
Yeah. It reminds me of a comment, as part of my side hustle of playing music. One of my music collaborators has been Jeff McFadden, who was a Vietnam veteran and was deployed for more than a year and was actually on a veterans-themed episode a couple of years ago. And he said, when it comes to veterans, or specifically combat veterans, he said there are two types. There are those who won't say anything, and then there are those who won't shut up about it.
Yeah, that's true.
And Jeff has kind of identified himself as more the latter. He'll tell you quite a bit of stuff. There are a few places that he won't go because it's still kind of traumatic for him. But that was his situation. My situation, my paternal grandfather, Edward Clay Roney, who died about 6 years before I was born, was an Army veteran, and his brother, who would be my great uncle Vinus, was in, I think, the Missouri National Guard. I'm not sure if Uncle Vinus ended up going overseas, but Grandpa Roney did. He was in France, and he ended up telling my dad his stories, and then Dad told the stories to me. Generally, they tended to be the fun stories, but the one tense story that I heard from him was that they were actually in some kind of a firefight, and he was in a trench or in a foxhole. I don't think it was in a full-blown trench because, of course, World War I was considered the big trench war. But Dad said that a bullet went by my grandpa's face, and he said it was so close that he could actually see it, and he could feel the heat from it when it went by. When the fighting had ceased, he said Grandpa's feet were they were just patting the bottom of that bee because he was so nervous and everything.
I love that, yeah.
But generally, I got the funny stories of like when they went to a village, I guess when they were in France, and they all got drunk and they were going to try and go back to camp, but there was a bridge apparently that you had to cross, and it was going to be too far to walk. So they decided they were going to try and jump across this brook, and this one guy jumped and he didn't quite make it, and he found out how cold the water was.
Yeah.
And another one when they were actually getting ready to deploy, because they got on this big boat that took them across the Atlantic, and they were wanting to stage, I guess, some boxing exhibitions, and they apparently taught Grandpa into fighting. And Grandpa Roney apparently was, well, I've actually seen his discharge papers where that they listed him as 5'7". So I don't know where. I think I get my height from mom's side of the family, but he's only 5'7". He didn't weigh too much. And they brought in a guy for him to box who was apparently littler than him. And he's telling his corner people, he's saying, I'm going to kill this guy. And they're saying, Ed, just don't worry about it. If you get to beating up on him too badly, we'll throw in the towel and we'll stop the fight. Well, he says, he goes out there to the ring, goes out there to the center of the ring after the bell rings. And he said, this guy's like he's got a boxing glove on a string, just bam, 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 just hitting him upside the head. Come to find out, this guy was either a featherweight or a bantamweight world champion boxer. And my grandpa, Ed, did not know that until afterwards. So that was those were the stories that I got. In my immediate family, I had a brother who was in the Navy, and I've never talked to him about it much. But my brother, the one who's closest in age to me, because I was a surprise baby. And so there's more than a decade between my three brothers and me. But my brother Patrick was in the Army. He went in with a cousin of ours and a friend of theirs. And it was right. They went in, I want to say in the winter of 73, because I think I was still in kindergarten at the time, and did their basic training at Fort Leonard Wood. And then I think Patrick got sent to Fort Polk, Louisiana, but they ended up being relatively close together in Germany, or West Germany at that time. And so because of that, and because my dad worked for Trans World Airlines and we could fly on standby passes, we got to go to Europe a couple of times.
Oh, that's pretty swell.
Yeah, that is pretty swell. I'd like to go back there, going back to the genealogy stuff, because I would like to try and research.
Yes, I feel the same way. I've got places I would love to go. And I did spend a good deal of time in England when I was younger. I had family over there. And so I traveled around to a number of really beautiful little towns down around Cornwall and Devon and Somerset down in the southwest, and then up in Scotland, and then just kind of all around. I traveled a lot around it in that time that I was there. I loved it. And there were places that felt so familiar. And I just felt like I'd been there before, and of course, I was young. I was 19 or 20. When doing my family research, I have ancestors from these places.
Wow.
And it made sense. And same with New England. I have ancestors from Salem and their pilgrims. I had some pilgrim ancestors, and then some Massachusetts Bay Colony and pilgrims that settled in, that started Salem. And I worked in Salem and Marblehead. I lived in Marblehead. And they all seem so familiar to me, and that's why. But I didn't know it at the time. I'd like to go back now because I know it. But, oh well.
Yeah.
You never know.
But yes, that's a good time to go. My one of my grandnieces, Alyssa Roney, got to spend a semester studying over in the UK. And so like her uncle Shawn, she's a big Beatles fan, so she made her way to Liverpool, and I got to see her take pictures, and because they've got several statues of them, and one of them, because I'd ask her if she'd do it. Well, they played in what had been a converted wine cellar called the Cavern Club that eventually got demolished, and then they built a new version of the Cavern Club, which I think also doubles as a museum. And so she got to go outside of that and got to see a bunch of stuff. And actually her parents, my nephew Chris and niece-in-law Michelle, got to go over and see her. And they just did you travel mostly by train when you were there? Or
drove.
You drove.
Yeah.
They did too.
Yeah.
And Chris said the first day that he did it, it kind of tripped him out a little bit, just because of...
I wasn't the best. I had to have others help.
Yes, because the steering wheel's
I do real well with that.
Yes, because here in America, And I can say that because according to our analytics from Audacity Creator Lab, we actually have a fair number of listeners from the UK. Really? So as our listeners in the UK will attest, steering wheel there, of course, is on the right side because they drive on the left side, which is opposite from here in America. And apparently a lot of parts in the of the world where that the steering wheel is on the left side of the vehicle and you drive on the right side of the road. And so it took you a while.
Oh, it did. It didn't ever really take, to be honest. And crossing the street was kind of a difficult thing, too.
Really? How come?
Because I looked the wrong way. I got pulled back from a nice Argentinian lady, and she said, no, and she pulled me out of the way of a bus when I was down on Bond Street one time. So, and I hadn't been there very long. I learned that lesson pretty quick. But driving is, and I wasn't the greatest driver to begin with because I hadn't been driving but just a few years, so I didn't take to it too readily. But I loved it over there, and I love traveling. I think traveling is a good thing for people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer doing the mass transit. I'm not that crazy about driving.
And I did a lot of mass transit because I had jobs and I worked over there and stuff. And so, yeah. So I did the number 83 bus a lot. I remember that. That's been so long ago, though. I just don't remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And when I can, I try to take mass transit. The last times I was in LA, essentially that's what I did. Or fly out to LAX, generally take a taxi. Although when I visited some friends out there, I flew out to LAX. And then I'm trying to remember, did I take a bus? But I ended up meeting my friend Lotta, and we ended up taking a train because they lived out in Pasadena. And they've got a nice rail system out in Los Angeles. And because when we talked beforehand, you mentioned Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. does too. Or it did when I was there in December 1987.
So the metro, whatever they call it out there, I think San Francisco had BART.
Yes, San Francisco has BART.
Because I lived outside of I lived in San Francisco and outside, and BART was just getting built when I was there. This was a very long time ago. And the same with D.C., because around D.C., they didn't have one at the time. They didn't have a metro. But I remember visiting New York for a couple of weeks and taking the train, and then over in London, I took the subway a lot.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yes, it is.
It's very interesting. I have not taken Kansas City's, though. I've not gone from the market uptown or anything, so I don't know.
I have. It's nice. This was a little over 7 years ago when I was interviewing for a job with the Government Accountability Office, so a federal job. And they had offices in or around Union Station. And I knew that the light rail or streetcar went from the River Market to there and was actually free to ride. So I decided to ride it, and it was nice. And to your point, I guess they've expanded it. I wish they would expand commuter rail to where that it's like in Chicago, where that you can live out in the suburbs.
Right. Well, I think once upon a time we had a Doodlebug, which was a little inner urban train that you could go into town with. I've heard a number of people talk about the Doodlebug, taking the Doodlebug in Kansas City and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so I think around the country, they used to have those things when trains were bigger, and streetcars and that kind of thing. And then cars took over and buses took over. And now I think we're moving back to that, and a congestion is a lot of it, and parking and that kind of stuff. So
indeed,
yeah, and I think the Northeast has always had a lot of rail, and they continue to. So
yeah, it has, and around DC. Mm-hmm. And I will say before we head into our break, the last time I was in DC, which was in 2006, because I had met a pen pal when I had been, my speech and debate team at college competed at a tournament at Towson State University in Baltimore. And I happened to meet a pen pal, or find a pen pal there who She lived in Hollywood, Maryland. I think she still does, which is out on Chesapeake Bay. But I got an invitation because she was going to throw a party for her half brother there in Hollywood, Maryland. And this, of course, is before GPS becomes common and everything. And so I was debating on if I wanted to fly into Baltimore and drive there, or if I wanted to drive into or fly into Dulles at DC and then drive out there. And I'm thinking, well, according to the map, just trying to use the little measuring and everything, it looks like DC's actually closer to Hollywood, Maryland than Baltimore is. And I later found out I was wrong. But I happened to get there and I rented a car. And the worst traffic I encountered, because I landed late on a Friday afternoon, and the worst traffic I've ever encountered, rush hour traffic, was on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge on rush hour getting out of DC on a Friday.
Everybody wanted to join you.
Yes, they did.
Oh, I can't imagine. No, thank you.
Yes. But I survived it just as you survived your stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed.
So, and with that, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Hear that? That's your gut. Now, would you really trust that same gut to make important decisions for your business? Well, you shouldn't. That's what SurveyMonkey is for. SurveyMonkey can help give you insight from real people that you need to make those big decisions with confidence. And AI from SurveyMonkey makes that faster and easier than ever before. It allows you to build a survey in seconds with just a simple prompt. You can even do it right from your phone. Advanced analysis tools are also powered by AI and are there when the responses pour in to help you dig deep, find patterns, and surface trends quickly. So give SurveyMonkey a try and give your gut a break. Shh. Try it for yourself at surveymonkey.com/human-AI.
Concluding our catching up episode of Ray County Voices, I am Shawn Roney. Micah had to step out and take care of some other business here at the Richmond News, which is where we record our episodes of Ray County Voices. And I actually should say the Richmond News and its sister newspaper, the Excelsior Springs Standard, because one little bit of catching up, which you may or may not know, our guest, Cathy Gottsch. I got it right that time.
You did it right. Yay.
I did it right. Yay. But anyway, you are aware, Cathy, that we had offices in Excelsior Springs too, did you not? Yeah. And then we ended up closing those. So all the personnel who are connected with the Excelsior Springs Standard and the Richmond News are based here in Richmond. So that's one item that we can catch up on. But the one thing that we were going to do in closing was discuss the museum closing for a while.
Well, once we get done with the Veterans Dinner, which will be at the Veterans Building this year, starts at 5:30. Veterans and spouses, families are welcome to come. It's going to be a lot of fun, too. We're going to have good food, good meal.
Yes.
After that, things in general, people start gearing towards Thanksgiving. So we close at the end of November. And so we don't really do a lot for Thanksgiving because that's a personal time for most people. And, they're just pretty taken up with vacationing with family and things like that, and fixing their meals and all. So once we close at the end of November, we don't open again until the beginning of April. And that time, no, we're not just closed. No, it's not just empty. We're cleaning. And that's why we close. We close so that we can clean, that we can reorganize things, catch up on some of the stuff that we have that's been piling up. We get donations and it's kind of hard to find places for them. And then switch things out, that kind of stuff. All the while, the research library for genealogy, that's still open, but you should probably give it a call and make an appointment or take a chance and see. Because I do a lot of running around. This is the time we do a lot of catching up with what we've been focusing on all season long. So we do the behind the scenes stuff. And with that, yes, we always need cleaning volunteers. And it would be wonderful to have anybody that wanted to. They just have to call the museum and talk to me about it. And if you don't have that number,
yes,
it is 816-776-2305. Again, 816-776-2305. And it's the Ray County Museum. And we are run by the Ray County Historical Society.
Yes.
So, but we'd love to have people come out and help us out. We've got yard work. And I know that doesn't sound great in the winter, but we have all kinds of things that we can work on and clean and reorganize. So, and we appreciate all the help that we get.
On a related note, it makes me think of having been based here for a while. Obviously, you're familiar with the Dairy Bee ice cream stand in Excelsior Springs.
Oh, my, a little too familiar.
Yes. Which, like the museum, is seasonal too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. This is where it's too bad that Micah had to step out and wear one of his other hats, because he could correct me on this if I'm wrong. Is it the 1st of March that it opens each year? I know it closes on Halloween. Halloween is its last day.
1st of March sounds right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a guy who attends my church, and he faithfully goes there on opening day and on closing day.
Pretty sure I have a couple friends like that.
Yes.
Without calling out names, but yes. You know who you are.
Yes, you know who you are. You know who you are. I ended up going on Halloween Eve because one of the hats that I have to wear is that I am sports editor for the Richmond News and its sister newspaper, the Excelsior Springs Standard. And I knew with Halloween being on a Friday this year, 2025, it was going to be difficult for me to get away. I ended up, because I had to be in Excelsior Springs on Halloween Eve, I ended up going there, and usually I will get a banana shake or a strawberry shake. And this time, because they were offering the pumpkin spice shake, I got the pumpkin spice shake.
Okay, that's just enough. You've just done it to me. I want one now. I really want one. Okay, so I'm hungry, and that is not what I needed. But their ice cream and their shakes are so good. I love the spumoni. I'm sorry. Yes,
I'll have to try the
Italian
spumoni
in another life. But oh yeah, I love all of it though. It's so good. And my friend Erin will stop and get me a chocolate Coke. If you've never had one, you should try one.
I'll have to try one.
Oh, they're very good. And sometimes she'll do that. And I'm glad it's far enough away. I can't just drop in daily.
Yeah.
Ice cream is definitely a red light food for me.
Oh, yeah. And of
theirs
course,
is so good.
Yes, theirs is good. And of course, they changed it because under the original management, it was strictly cash only, and eventually they moved to where that you can use a card, and I used my card many
make it a
times.
little too easy.
Yes,
okay? Yeah,
making a little too easy. But the point being is, of course, that the guess is that they don't sit idly by while Dairy Bee is closed from November through February.
No, they don't. And most of these museums, a lot of museums are closed. This is pretty standard for a museum this size. We're a very large building with a very large collection, but it's a smaller museum in a smaller setting with a smaller budget. And so that gives us some special circumstances. And being that, it makes it a lot easier since we don't have a lot of people that work the museum that we can do things with throughout the week. We just have to stop and and closed, we don't get a lot of people that come in. And so that's the best time to start, taking things apart and not having to worry about people stepping over cleaning projects or reorganizing projects. So and a lot of museums are like that. You'll find that they close in those very same ways. So
just out of curiosity, only because as I record this, of course, the federal government's still in a shutdown. What kind of funding, if any, does the museum get as a trickle down from the federal government? None?
No.
Really?
No.
Who are your benefactors?
Our benefactors are, and I shout this out at every time I can, okay, the building is still owned by the county. And the county commission are marvelous about helping to keep this place up. They're responsible for all the maintenance and everything because it's their building. And there is a special tax that sets a little bit of money aside for it. I can't tell you much about that. You'd have to ask some other folks. But there is some special money that's allotted to that, and it's a tax from the county. But they also keep the lights on for us, and they keep the heat and the water, the electricity, and they do give us a little allocation every month to help us keep going. So the county government is very instrumental in this. But the majority of everything that we get comes from people like you. So donations that we can get, memberships that we can get, volunteers that can help us to reach these kinds of goals. I do ghost hunts a lot, private ghost hunts and public ghost hunts, and all of that money goes to the Historical Society to keep the museum and the museum up and the Historical Society going. And none of us get paid for any of that. It's all a volunteer basis for me and everyone else. And so that's it. I do live there.
Yes.
And that is one of them. But I'm also kind of a guard in a way. I'm a deterrent. Let's put it that way. I'm a deterrent.
You're a deterrent. All right. Well, with that, we're going to take one more break, and then we'll kind of wrap up when we come back. So stick around. When we left off, we discussed closing for the winter to be able to clean and catch up on some stuff, which you said will be at the end of November after Thanksgiving, I'm guessing?
Yeah, after Thanksgiving, and then a little time during Christmas, and then Christmas break, I've found that most people are really just too busy those months. They really, have a lot of things to get ready for their holidays and whatnot. And then afterwards in January, then things can really start to rev up and do some cleaning and whatnot.
Part of the reason I ask that is because if the great production angels or production gods or whatever, if they're with me and I'm able to get this edited and uploaded and everything, it should go public before Thanksgiving. So I will ask, what do you usually do on Thanksgiving?
Well, my kids are spread out far and wide as far as me personally. Now, for the museum, we don't really do anything. But for me personally, my kids are spread out. I have 5 of them. And they're really just kind of all over. And so getting together with them and getting them back to the house for dinner is an impossibility. So I never know. But I do know this year that a very good friend of mine is sending his son over to the U.S. to see the country a little bit, and he's got an aunt who's here already, and so he's coming to visit me right around Thanksgiving.
Nice.
So this wonderful boy is going to experience some sort of Thanksgiving. I'll have to give him some sort of Thanksgiving, so I'll just have to see what I can conjure up.
Cool. My Thanksgivings, they've been interesting the past few years. Usually, my brother Pat, the Army veteran, he and my sister-in-law, Deb, a lot of times will have a family Thanksgiving, although because of work schedules and everything, it's not always on Thanksgiving proper. It's usually on the weekend, the weekend immediately after Thanksgiving. So usually the Saturday right after Thanksgiving.
That's pretty common.
So we've done that. And there have been times on Thanksgiving proper, I ended up, back when the pandemic was at its worst, I started a short-lived walking soccer group that was kind of based in Independence, and I stayed in touch with this couple, Rick and Nancy Silver. They lived around Independence. They ended up moving closer to Odessa, and they, at least before their health got too bad, would have these big 3 and 4 day holiday extravaganzas, one around Thanksgiving, one around Christmas. And so a lot of times I would go on Thanksgiving proper to their house. However, in catching up and keeping with the theme of the episode, one way that I got to catch up with some family members, because on the Roney side of my family, we have an annual family reunion at my Aunt Jane's house, which is kind of near Kearney, Missouri. They've got a big spread there and everything. And at the 2024 reunion, my cousin-in-law, Melinda, and her husband, my cousin Danny, or Dan, I think they still call him Danny, even though he's 60 some odd years old. We talked about getting together and watching Chiefs games. I brought it up this year, and I said, well, when are we still gonna try and maybe get together and watch games? And so they ended up inviting me to their house the next day when the Chiefs played the Ravens at their house in Kansas City, Missouri. And then I got invited for Thanksgiving proper when Kansas City will play Dallas. And so I have a place to go for Thanksgiving proper and may get invited to a few other places.
And that's it.
And that's
the way it is. Yeah. I used to host great big Thanksgivings, and it always took in the stray.
Yes.
You don't have a place? Come on. So now I'm a stray.
Yes.
But, trust me, I'm okay with that. We'll figure something out.
Yes, we'll figure something out.
No, I'm okay with it.
We'll figure something out. And that does kind of remind me of a thing that I can catch up on with our listeners is our last episode was when MJ, who's my usual regular co-host, and Mike and I were discussing sports-related stuff. We had tentatively planned to try and cover a Chiefs game in October. It's going to be the Chiefs-Raiders game, the one where they won 31-0. And we just ended up getting spread too thin to where that we weren't going to get to do it. And so we might try again in 2026. Although there's a part of me that I don't know if it's superstition or what, but the last Chiefs game I covered in person was the AFC title game in January 2020 when they came back from 10 points down early and beat Tennessee when Derrick Henry still played for Tennessee before he ended up in Baltimore, and they won their first ever AFC title, their first ever Lamar Hunt trophy. And so there's a part of me, because that ended up just being kind of just a nice day all around, and I always worry that I'm not going to be able to top it, and I want to kind of end on a high note. But
yes,
but I could be persuaded to go back because we have gone to training camp since then. So
I think you'd probably be pretty safe.
Yeah, it'd probably be pretty safe. And Micah and MJ, or MJathan, as we sometimes call her around the office, they have not been in the press box at Arrowhead.
Oh, they should definitely do that.
Yeah, they should do that.
I've never done that either, but I have been in some of the nice little clubs upstairs. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. And when was that?
Well, I have a nephew. I always call him a nephew because he's so much younger than me, but he's a cousin. And he is the head of IT for Chiefs. So when he got married, we had quite the party.
Oh,
And
I'll
his
bet.
His wife also worked for the Chiefs.
Nice.
It was quite nice.
Yes. And they've done a lot of renovations as you can
Yes. They have done a lot of renovations. But my family have been season ticket holders since day one, and same with the Royals. So,
but I've been in the press box there. I was actually down on the field once, but it wasn't for a Chiefs game. It was before Sporting Kansas City was Sporting Kansas City, and they were still the Kansas City Wizards, and they played their home games at Arrowhead.
Nice to understand that transition. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, well, they would have media all-star games where they would get all of us media people, and we'd go down and we'd scrimmage for about 10 minutes at halftime. So I got to play on the field at Arrowhead Stadium when I wasn't exercising as much and I was way out of shape. And unlike
we're just not going to talk about that.
So anyway, I've been down on the field there. I would love to be down on the field to take pictures of a Chiefs game. I've been able to take pictures of the Chiefs at training camp. Been able to get a few pictures of Mr. Taylor Swift. I mean Travis Kelce catching some passes and stuff like that. Thanks to a good lens and everything. But their media relations people have said anymore the NFL, which for those who are not familiar with sports is Kansas City's or the Chiefs governing league. The NFL has cracked down on letting photographers and videographers down on the field on game days now. So most likely, if we're able to make that trip, the three of us are going to be sitting together in a press box and then attending press conferences. You could take them into the locker room afterward, but oh God, it's kind of a mess in there because you get a bunch of people crowded around one tiny locker trying to ask one guy who's trying to get dressed a bunch of questions, and
that would be a little uncomfortable.
It's a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes, it would be, but you'll get them in there somehow or another.
So I've ended up deciding to just wait and sit in the interview room, and then usually Coach Andy Reid, the Chiefs coach, he'll come in there and do his press conference there. Patrick Mahomes and some of the other players will come into, and it just works a lot better that way.
Yeah, I think it would work a lot better. I would not want to be down there amongst it all in the locker room. No, that's good.
but I will say, the hope is that MJ and Micah and I've covered a couple of hockey games because those who are not familiar, Kansas City has a minor league hockey team, which is the Mavericks. Yeah. That actually play in Independence. And when I worked for the Independence Examiner, or the Examiner over in Jackson County, Missouri, which is, does technically it border Ray County, or?
There is a section that Jackson borders Ray.
Yeah.
It's not a very big section, but yeah.
But anyway, so Jackson County, which borders Ray County, where we are, there's a town, Independence, and that's where the Kansas City Mavericks play at a center there. And so we've talked about, because they've I think one or two of them have seen a few hockey games, but we've not covered a hockey game. And I would like to photograph a hockey game. I'd like to try that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I bet that would be.
So while the museum is closed during the winter, the hope is that the three of us can make a little pilgrimage to.
That's exactly what you should do.
So that's what we're going to try and do.
Yeah.
And in which case, if we do, then the three of us will probably do another episode where we share our sound bites of our post-game interviews and what it was like covering minor league hockey. But before we do that, we have an episode planned where we're going to talk to one current National Guardsman and a couple of veterans.
All right.
Tying back into your veterans dinner.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's probably going to be holiday themed, of just how they had to, where they'll share their stories related to the military. And then the other is they'll just talk about how they've been able to cope with being separated from family when they're deployed. So stick around for that. The hope is, if all goes well, that we will be able to record it later this month, November 2025, or early December 2025, and it can go public right before Christmas time. So with that, we'll say thank you, Cathy Gottsch.
You're welcome.
For showing up
Shawn,
and discussing everything. Roney.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I really had to do that.
Yes, I know you had to do that. So thank you, and thank you to Micah for pitching in and sharing his stories about his grandfather and everything.
Enjoy it. Thank you so much for asking me.
And obviously we thank all the public servants and military personnel for what they have to do for our way of life, and just hope that everybody stays safe. And if the editing gods and production gods and angels are with me, and this comes out before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving if you're in a place that observes it in November. And if not, well, happy fourth Thursday of November.
There we go. All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye now.
Bye.
This is Ray County Voices. This is Ray County Voices. This is Ray County Voices. This is Ray County Voices.
Are high-interest credit cards or personal loans weighing you down? Unlock gives homeowners a smarter option. With a home equity agreement, you can tap into your home's equity for cash today. There are no monthly payments. Here's how it works. Unlock provides funds upfront and in exchange shares in a portion of your home's future value. That means you keep control with the flexibility to use your equity your way. Pay off bills, invest in home improvements, or set aside savings for peace of mind. For thousands of homeowners, Unlock has been the key to moving forward without the pressure of another payment. Put your equity to work for you. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.